then Heidi Haley Franklin, she's the VP of Programs with Alzheimer's Association, Minnesota, North Dakota chapter. And I really appreciate how much I am supporting the work that she's doing because I'm very passionate about mitigating health disparities and I have a lot of ideas. And I really thought in my very first meeting with her that maybe I had scared her off with all of my passion, but somehow we still got chosen. But although I am supporting her, she is helping me think through things that I wouldn't necessarily think about because my job or what I'm really focused is my focus is how do we mitigate health disparities? How do we mitigate inequities, right? And so not just in health, but racial inequities. And so even when I put together this project, she's like, you know what? You should send our bios out. You should send, I want to promote this on our socials. And it's just like, oh, wow. Thank you, Heidi, for the support. I just really appreciate when I can work with clients and it's a mutual reliance. I'm helping them and then they're also helping and supporting me. It makes me feel like this is the point of the work.
But this one is a softball, I believe. So anyone can go first, but from our amazing panelists, I would love to hear what is your role in the organization and why is health and or racial equity important to you and your organization? And I'll ask it one more time, but what is your role in the organization and why is health and or racial equity important to you and your organization? And it's in the chat as well. Heidi?
Yeah. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Heidi Haley Franklin, and my role is at the Alzheimer's Association is to change people's lives who are impacted by dementia so they feel less alone and can live as well as they can as the disease progresses in any community. And really, at the Alzheimer's Association, we believe that engaging diverse perspectives and diverse communities is critical to achieving health equity and racial equity, and want to see a day where all communities have equal access to early detection and diagnosis of mild cognitive impairment or any type of dementia and have access to risk reduction and quality care. So Krista, I might be pinging you. Since you're in a health system, maybe we can put our heads together and figure out a way to tackle dementia in a health system in Baltimore. But what a lot of people don't know about dementia is that underrepresented and underserved communities are disproportionately impacted by the disease. And yet these communities are less likely to be diagnosed, less likely to be recruited to participate in research, and also less likely to have access to the programs that they deserve. And it's unacceptable to us, and it has to change. And I am committed to making that change that all communities deserve.
I really appreciate you, Heidi. Alzheimer's is something that's affected my family personally. And I would love to think that racial disparities didn't play a role in some of the outcomes. And I think that would be naive of me. And so hearing your passion for bringing that to the forefront, it just, it gives me goosebumps, is what is the scope of the project that you are tackling with Avant Consulting Group? And why did you choose us to assist? I'd like to think because you just know that we're the best. And I have a feeling there might be a more nuanced answer than that. So by all means, I'll drop this into the chat, but I'll ask it one more time again. What is the scope of the project? And why did you choose Avant Consulting Group to assist you? And Heidi, I'd love it if you wouldn't mind going first.
Sure, absolutely. So we wanted to accelerate our engagement with the African American community, specifically in North Minneapolis. And we wanted to do that to increase dementia awareness and the available care and support programs that are available for the community. So we secured some funding to be able to support the work to get us started. And the funding allowed us to release a request for proposal for a DEI consultant, and the Avant Group was one of the many that applied. And I think what we were really impressed with when we conducted our interviews, we were specifically impressed by Dr. Zavant's passion. So I'm surprised that you thought you scared us off, because you didn't. That's actually the reason why, one of the reasons why we chose you. But also her curiosity about dementia, the Alzheimer's Association. And then secondly, Stephanie, who has participated in the interview, was a well-connected and trusted community leader. And I also think trusted and had trusted and connected to specific individuals and organizations in the North Minneapolis area, specifically Zeta Phi Beta, which happens to be a national partner of the Alzheimer's Association. So that's the why. But really, the project is about convening community leaders and influencers and members of the community to understand and learn from them through a listening session, learn about their experiences with early detection, diagnosis, and how they receive support when it comes to living with dementia. So we haven't had the event yet. It's scheduled for January, but we've had a lot of conversations with internally with Avant and with some community leaders to be able to best structure the event and think through what would this event look like. So I'm really excited about the event.
We are too. Thank you so much. And I know my team is not the best at receiving compliments, so I'm imagining Dr. Avant and Stephanie are making super awkward faces. I'm having a bad eye day, so I can't necessarily see them, but I am living for the fact that they had to hear compliments about themselves and are now probably sitting there feeling very awkward. And now that you have worked with Avant Group, what was that like? Like, how has that working relationship been with us? How has it been beneficial to your org? I'll drop it in the chat. But again, now that you've worked with Avant Group, how has working with us been beneficial to you and your organization? I'm going to type into the chat.
Sure. Well, although our listening session, the actual project hasn't occurred yet, we have conducted many listening session with a group of community influencers and leaders. And I have to say, like in that session, just watching Avant facilitate an in-depth, really robust, deep conversation about dementia and dementia awareness really impacted not only myself, but we had an intern from the association and another staff person observing. We talk about that session frequently and think about all of those stories as we are moving this forward. But Dr. Avant did a great job with facilitating, and I think that lended itself to a really honest conversation. And I just can't imagine being able to A, pull those people together on our own, and then B, hear the really honest conversation that Dr. Avant was able to elicit without her. So I just really appreciate working with Dr. Avant and her team. I feel like it's well worth it. And I feel like our listening session that we're planning in January is just going to be excellent. So very excited about that.
Yeah, I am confident in that session too. I love listening sessions for getting to hear voice. And so again, you all are providing the opportunity for us to be in a listening session with you and your great advice. What has resonated with you the most from your work with Avant Consulting Group? What is something that's standing out to you in your mind? And if you were to give advice to others on this call about doing this work or doing this work with us specifically, what would it be?
Sure, I can go next. I think what's really resonated, just to go back to the question before, that's those firsthand stories, those really honest stories and feedback that we received in the mini listening session with some of those community influencers and leaders. And I also really appreciate the team's reflections around like what Krista was saying, the complexities of ensuring that we're thinking about anti-racist practices and systems within our organization. And there's a lot that goes into it. So advice for others that are looking to do the work is, just start. Take that very, very small step, take that first step, take the sixth step, but, start with wherever you feel like you need to start. And the Avant Group is great at helping you determine what that first step might be, or even the second step.
Thank you, Heidi. I think it's no surprise to me you mentioned the story piece. I know some folks might be familiar, but that study was released out of Stanford recently that stories are 23 times more impactful than data. And so I've loved every bit of the storytelling we've been able to pull out of the folks that we've worked with, especially your group, Heidi. So thank you for that. And I'm looking forward to what we pull out in our listening session.